Somebody just click the link. Christ for all. Shalom, Christ for all.
There we go.
Peace, brother.
How you living?
Good, thank you.
Is this IOCK?
I come in peace, brother.
Hey, that's what's up.
Listen, I come in peace, and I do want to apologize for any attitude that I ever gave you. Like, I do respect your work, your hard work, and what you want to do for the people. So I definitely come in a different energy. It's nothing but love. And if I ever disrespected you, I definitely want to apologize.
I humbly accept your apology. What's your actual name, IOCK?
Mike.
Mike, we'll let Mike have the floor unless you got something you want to add, brother.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, is it my time to speak?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first off, I just want to say that I do agree with the evil that the nations have done. Like, I'm not blind to the fact what they did and how they treated people in the slave trade, putting drugs in the people's neighborhoods, Section 8, all the scams that the nations have done, which I think Psalms 83 touches on that, how the nations were going to be confederate. And I do love the fact that Christ has been revealed to be a black man. That's a beautiful thing. And not to sound crazy, but the fact that the nations are going to be punished for what they did, that's also a beautiful thing in my eyes. I don't believe in violence, but that's the Most High's righteous violence for what they did. I just came really to apologize to Brother Ash because I've been real childish in the past and real arrogant. So I just really came to apologize. But I did see the title where you guys were looking for Christians. So what I was thinking, since I'm of that frame of thought per se, like if you guys want to ask me questions of how we Christians feel, I'm not coming to argue or to be combative, but maybe you could use me as like a Christian for the day to pick my brain and why I feel, excuse me, that I believe what I believe. So I'm all open for any questions. I'm not here to be combative. My stance is a Christian still, but if you have any questions to ask me, I'll answer it honestly. I won't be like, on a, arguing tip. Like I'm all yours per se.
Cool. Can I ask you? I have actually one question just based off what you said. I mean, you and the brother Ash have have had more of a back and forth, and it definitely takes a big man, you know what I'm saying, so to speak, right? And a sound man, a humble man, you know what I'm saying, to come and apologize when they're wrong. Um, it's good that you came through to do that. I mean, although we may not agree on everything, let's try to make it a good build. Now, I have a question based on what you said. You said that you think it is a good thing that the other nations are going to get their judgment, right?
Yes, sir.
And I'm not, this is not really a question. This is kind of more of a statement. So with that being said, you acknowledge the other nations are going to get their judgment. And this is all we say as Israelites. The other nations have to pay for what they've done. That's actually justice. That's actually balance, right? That's why false balance is an abomination to the Most High. You're not going to have his people get the short end of the stick and everybody get to kick their back in, and then they don't get any payback. That's not balance, nor is that justice, right? But then after that, all the other nations, they get to live in their land, and the as the scriptures say, the earth is going to be at peace and the earth is going to be healed. So how is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing. the scripture says that when the evil rule, the earth mourns, but when the righteous rule,
The
the
people rejoice.
yes. So it's not a bad thing.
Right.
You know, when you look at throughout history, you know, the Most High's people, which I do know. I mean, and the world's starting to know who his real people really are. And it's not the small hats. You know what I mean. But that being said, my stance was always that he chose them to be like a light to the rest of the world. And he had chosen them to kind of be a representative, like kind of like how Christ is a mediator for the covenant between man and the Most High. I see it as God was choosing a people to be his mediator, his representative between men and him. So I always seen it as they were an example to be. Um, that's how I
Well,
always looked at it.
see, they are the Israelites. We are an example, right? They're supposed to look on us and see. That's what it tells you in Deuteronomy. Look on us and see such a wise people and want
Mhm,
to emulate us, right? But with
mhm.
that being said, the Most High did not choose them, right?
Correct.
He chose who he chose, right?
Mhm,
And he's so gracious. He actually said that, look, you guys can follow my people, right? And my
mhm.
covenant, right? But I also gave you your own gods. He established that in Deuteronomy 32 in the divine council, right?
Okay.
When he
Yes, sir.
separated the people, right? So he never wanted everybody to be together. He separated the people, right? According to what? According to the heavenly host, according to the deities that he set up for each individual nation. But
Mhm.
he said Israel, right, is his portion. And then you can see this in other contexts in the books of the kings where he's not even upset at other people worshiping their gods. He just said, like, look, bro, if you in my land, you gonna acknowledge me.
Facts.
So that's how it's always been. But you see, when you look at it, there are all these other belief systems around the world, right? But
Mhm.
the only one that they take and try to say is for everybody is this specific people, their book, their history. You know what I'm saying? Their codified laws. But they don't do that with, for example, the Tao Te Ching.
Well, if I could say, I think that's because of two reasons. I think one is because they're jealous of who the people really are. You know, they don't want a black man having anything, let alone being the real people of the book. So, you know, I know it's jealousy. Two, it scares them because when you guys tell them you're never going to be able to make it or have salvation, that terrifies them, and it kind of puts them in a fight or flight mentality. So that's why I think the kickback comes from with now you have all this Christian, you know, Israelite beef. You know, I mean, you know, like YouTube beef. I'm not saying like real beef. But yeah, because you got to remember, for them, they always wanted to keep the North American Negro down, right?
Hmm.
And then they wake up one day and realize these are the people of the book. That's a frightening thing to them. That's terrifying,
Yeah.
especially when they start remembering the way they treated them.
Hmm.
So I think it's two. I think it's the jealousy, but it's also the fear. But that's where I believe, you know, camps, and I get it. Like, trust me, I get it. We're in prison houses, you know, fatherless homes. You know, Hispanics and blacks have been dealt like a not so fair deal. So you would naturally want to gather your people first. Like, obviously, I do get that. Like how a hen gathers her chicks. But
Hmm.
let me ask you this. And remember, you don't have to answer any question I'm saying. I'm just happy that Brother Ash
Hey,
gave
go
me
ahead.
the opportunity to speak. He's a
Mhm.
very respectful, intelligent brother. Like, I like to make jokes about his intelligence, but it's the fact because he is intelligent and I'm really not, but he's a very intelligent brother. So it was like a little bit of jealousy on my end too. But he
Right.
is a very intelligent brother. But that being said, my question is this: do you
Mhm.
guys ever see a time where you would teach other nations the Most High, or are you waiting to gather your people first, or do you think that time hasn't come yet? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's a time and a place for everything, as the scriptures tell you. So, there's a time to love, there's a time to hate, there's a time to grieve. You know what I'm saying? And mourn, and there's a time to rejoice, right? So the time that we're currently in is the time where it's on us to go and to gather our people, because
Mhm.
according to prophecy, the Israel's elect has to be sealed up. See, not even all our people are going to get it. We have enough of our job trying to teach our own people, or people who have been ripped away from their true heritage. When you look up a term like natal alienation, I'm gonna bring this term up. Let me show you something, bro,
Mhm.
if I could.
Yeah, of
All right?
course.
It's a term called natal alienation, and it kind of lays out what exactly happened to this people, right? And when you
Mhm.
combine this with this definition and look at currently what affects the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you'll understand why the Most High, in His infinite wisdom, laid it out for us to go and teach our people. The only thing that we're supposed to be teaching the other nations right now is showing them the judgment that's written.
Mm. Okay.
Right? Now, if they learn through osmosis our commandments, and then they truly come and want to learn, we have no problem teaching them. Right?
Mhm.
Right? Because we'll try to live peacefully in this captivity, as the good advice that our brother Paul said, with all men, if possible. Right? But like you even acknowledge the fear, right, that these other nations have, seeing the rise of Yasharallah,
Just
seeing
to
that.
just to fan the fire a little bit, Cap. It's our belief that the Most High, He's going to spare who He's going to spare, regardless, as far as the Gentiles, right? So we don't really teach that we have an effect on that, and the salvation that Christ came to bring has anything to do with that. There's going to be a group of Gentiles that are spared, and they're going to learn the ways of the Most High. And at that time, when we are the priests, we're going to be doing the teaching. Ain't that right?
That's right.
You still got the floor. I'm more an observer, but I'm going to try to mediate the discussion a little bit. This is good.
Okay. Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
And this is to both of you guys. Do you think? All right. You know how Rahab? I think it was Jericho, the city that they were spying on, and then I believe I believe Rahab, she kind of like let them in and did a good deed, right? And they ended up making a covenant with her to spare her and spare her life. Now, the brother Ash brought a good point up about the Most High sparing,
Mm-hmm.
but in that book, I think it's Joshua, the Israelites themselves made a covenant, which I believe, I'm just assuming, that the Most High honored. Do you think that you guys still have that ability in this day and age to make a covenant with the Gentile per se, and the Most High honor it? Like, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but
No, I know what you're saying. You basically saying, do we have the favor of the Most High to where the Most High is going to honor agreement that this house is going to help us up, in the sense that he that bless thee shall be blessed. I don't think so.
yeah,
Simply because the prophecy about today says that if Daniel was alive during this time, if Ezekiel was alive during this time, they'd only be able to save themselves.
mm, good one,
And by the
brother Ash.
way,
That was a good one, bro.
and let me add to that, some of these prophets are alive. Like it says that Daniel was prophesied that he would be back here again, just like John the Baptist, right? So they
Mhm.
can't, they don't have the power, right, to save anybody, right? The only thing they can do is be righteous and save themselves, right? None of us can do that, right? Because like I
Do you,
said, we've been so disconnected from our heritage, from the law, statutes, and commandments, right? And what to actually do, just coming back to that, just rehearsing the righteous acts is enough of a task, and trying to teach our families to do that.
do you think and these are all questions because I deal with Christians, non-Israelites too, and there's a lot of them that are terrified. I'm not gonna lie. Like they watch all your guys' videos and they come to me, they ask me questions. So I'm just, asking topics that they bring up. Do
Right.
you believe that I don't know if it was a law, but when the Most High said, "Bless them that bless thee,
Mm-hmm.
curse them that curse thee," even though Brother Ash did bring up a monster verse
Mm-hmm.
where the Most High said, even I think it was Elijah, Enoch, and another one. He said even them couldn't even save their own children.
Right.
That was a beautiful verse. Brother Ash brought up. So you don't think that thing that the Most High said, "Bless them that bless thee, curse them," you don't think that no longer applies, or what's your stance on
Well,
that?
ultimately, as the brother said, the Most High will have mercy on whom He will. So, look, if let's just say, I'm gonna give a hypothetical. There was a person of another nation who, for whatever reason, it's going to be because the Most High had the influence on them. They helped them, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And the Most High have some type of mercy on them because of that. You know what I'm saying? And look, it could be even that person in that day says that, ask the Most High to have favor on them for their help, and maybe the Most High decides to honor that individually in that moment,
Hmm.
right? That's possible, right? But overall, the judgment's already been written, and the Most High has to honor His word, right? Because He's not a man that He should lie. He said it, He meant it, right? And when He swear by it, He swear by His own name because there's nothing higher to swear by. And when it's talking about blessing those in Genesis, I'm gonna bring that up and we can read through it. It's talking about the nations. That's why I started to talk about nations, right? If
Hmm.
those nations gotta bless us, right? And if that nation then decide to curse you, then they gonna get cursed. So that wasn't even in an individual context in Genesis,
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
right? So let's read this. Just want to hammer down on this point a little bit about why it's more incumbent upon us to teach our own people, the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, despite the fear that these other nations might have, which is prophesied, by the way, in Ezekiel chapter 37. That's the valley of dry bones. What did it say? It said when it see them come back to life, fear came upon all these nations, right?
Hmm.
See that? Right?
Facts.
So it's not uncommon, of course, right? Because look how this people is looked at, right? Look how the blacks, Hispanics, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are viewed in a whole. When you look at any statistic when it comes to oppression, right? They number 1, 2, and 3, right behind each other, right? So they looked at collectively as kind of less than, right? Our brothers and sisters on the plantations, on the reservations, right?
Hmm.
Deal with alcoholism, drug abuse, prostitution. There are women getting raped and disappearing. Same things we deal with. Same thing the Hispanic community deal with.
Yes, sir.
It's prophetic, right? So this is what happened to this people, right? Natal alienation is the estrangement or disconnection from historical memory. You understand?
Hmm.
Historical memory, right? We don't have a historical basis as a people to go back to. So how the hell could we be trying to teach and worry about other nations when we don't even have a solid basis to go back to? All of this is new to us.
That's a good
I've been
point.
studying our culture for almost a decade now, and I've still only scratched the surface, right?
No, That's an awesome point. If I could ask, and please, like, if you have any questions, like, you could use me as a Christian to like pick my brain, and I'll answer any question you like. I have a question if it's okay, and then I don't mean to jump
Yeah,
around, you know.
you have
Um,
ask your question 1 second, and what I'll say is if I have a question, I'll ask, and we'll get the chat involved too. If the chat has any questions, put them in the chat for our brother who's come through in a real humble spirit, you know. So
Genuine questions, too.
sisters,
Genuine questions. We need to be exuding grace and mercy. If we can't do that, I don't want to hear you talking about Hashem Yahawashi, nothing in the chat. Don't be a hypocrite in here. The brother
that's right.
can't ability. We need to show him the same thing with open arms unless he shows us otherwise. I'm banning you if you disrespectful in the chat, at least during this exchange.
Come on. So
thank you for that.
go ahead and ask your question, my brother.
Okay, all praises. And if they say anything, Ash, I definitely do deserve it because I have been a jerk. So you know what I mean. So like they should get their lick back at least once or twice. But all right, but let me say this: who do you think? Now remember, I'm coming as a Christian perspective. Who do you think is Babylon the Great in the end days? Do you think it's the United States or do you think it's the whole world? What are your thoughts on who do you think that is? Because, and I do get confused. I lean, I'll be honest with you, 80% I lean is the United States. But, you know, I talked to a couple other brothers and they say it's the earth. I do read verses where the other nations are going to be looking from afar and something like they're not able to make any more profit once
Second, y'all. Michael, after the brother finishes saying his piece, we're gonna greet you and we're gonna find out what it is you wanted to say. Just hold tight for us. You got it.
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay. So who do you guys believe is the ultimate, is the last day daughter of Babylon that makes the world wine off her fornication? Or what is it? Like, do you believe?
So you're talking about referring to Mystery Babylon.
Facts, correct.
Right. We believe that Mystery Babylon is America because this nation shows forth all of the attributes prophesized, right? And then
Mhm.
when you drop, see, Mystery Babylon and the fourth beast are the same thing, and the whore on top of the beast is just controlling the beast, is controlling the beast, controlling the attributes of the beast. Okay, and that the whore that's on top of the beast is synonymous with being Mystery Babylon, right? So if you acknowledge that the fourth beast, right, that Daniel saw in his vision, that's the Roman Empire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That
Yeah.
beast came up out of the sea, right? And then you look into Revelations, I think that's Revelations chapter 13, if I'm not mistaken, right? Don't quote me on that. You see the beast, right? That beast, it took a head wound, right? But it didn't die, right? It came back, right? And then you see John sees the beast, that same fourth beast, rise up out of the earth. Why did it come out of the sea first and then out of the earth?
Break it down, brother.
So it came out of the sea because the water represents the people. The Roman Empire conquered and ruled everything.
Mm.
That's an important nuance. There's Hebrew thought behind that. There's a bit of a linguistic disconnect in the Revelation. It says sat on many waters, and the waters represent people in tongues. Well, if you look at the word Shemayim, that can also be interpreted as renowned water. So there's different ways of looking at heaven versus earth. Renowned water being the heavens can also be interpreted as nations. And they try to sustain some of that Hebrew thought even when using the Greek language. But that's a good point, Cap.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to tie that through.
Thank you.
So you have the Roman Empire, which most historians will acknowledge, right, that the fourth beast that Daniel saw, right, that is the Roman Empire, right? And again, it says it came up out of the water, but then it says it's talking about the same exact beast, but this time is different, right? But it has all of the same attributes of the beast before it, right? But this one came up out of the earth. Why? Because it was a part of the earth, part of that empire that was before it.
Mm.
Because America, go ahead, General.
Let's let Michael introduce himself real quick. Michael, what you got for us?
Yes, sir. I want to say that I wish everyone here well in Jesus, and I love every one of you. You know, I don't necessarily know if y'all believe in Jesus and everything, or if y'all believe it's a different name or how that works, but just know my intentions are well.
All right. Well, we'll take your word for it, right? But the key to today is, looking at the fact that the road to hell is quite literally paved with good intentions. What we want to do is we want to take people and aim them and their intentions the right way. So I take it that you're a Christian based on coming and having the intention to share Christ. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What's your what do you think of the title of the live stream?
Um, I'm not sure. I don't know much about your particular belief, but I don't. I also wish that people wouldn't hate you for what you believe, if that's the case. And so I was coming to, basically tell people not to hate you because of what you believe, because that's not what the kingdom represents.
Mhm. Don't we gotta hate the evil?
Yeah, yeah. Abstain from evil. Yeah, but
Yeah.
Jesus said, "Stand not in the way of evil." So
There you go. So we gotta cast it off. We gotta hate it. So there's gonna be hate to some degree. And then Sister Roxy Julie, yes, this is a live stream. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. We're really just getting started. But you do have to hate to a degree. Is it the individual? Not necessarily. But if the doctrine is wrong, then stand firmly on the hate of the doctrine. And this is an opportunity for y'all to share with us what you hate about the doctrine, and maybe we can get to the nitty gritty. But that being said, thank you for coming and introducing yourself. We're going to have you take a moment of silence while we let these brothers continue their dialogue, and then we'll hop in with you.
yes, sir.
Y'all got it. Yeah.
Right. So just to finish up the final thought on Babylon, let me highlight this comment right here too, real quick. He says that I believe Mystery Babylon is America and Great Britain. See, America came out of Great Britain, and Great Britain was a part of the Roman Empire. That's one of the seven horns. All right.
Mhm.
It was one of the seven horns. So you have Germania Major and Germania Minor. That's where you get modern day Germany and like Austria and those countries up in that region. All right. And then you have Slovakia. I've been through this in a minute. So I'm going right off the top of the head. And then you have France, right? France was part of it. And you got Italy, that was part of it. You got Spain, that was part of it. You got Great Britain, and then I'm missing somebody I haven't called, right? But all of these nations that you know of, they were part of the Roman Empire.
Did you mention
Right.
Spain?
But if I didn't mention Spain, Spain might be the last one. Spain was also part of the Roman Empire, right? Right. And when I say Germania Major and Germania Minor, Germania Major that broke off, if I'm not mistaken, to be like the Baltic states, like the Russians, the Poland. These all is the same people. These all are still what the Bible identifies as Edomites. All right. And these were all part of the Roman Empire. Great Britain in particularly is important because it's the little horn that Daniel saw in Daniel chapter 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
That little horn that came up, right? And then the 3 horns that got plucked off, that's Spain, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's France, and that's Britain. America took them down. See
Yes,
that?
sir. Mm-hmm.
America took them down to get on top. And then it got that mouth, right, that John saw that speak them great things. And that influence all around the world. That's why you see in Revelation 17, when Mystery Babylon gets destroyed, everybody be well because they all got rich. They all used her. Why you think Trump doing what he doing with the tariff?
Try to add into it, Cap. What do we also call America?
Salaki, you make that point. My bad.
What we call America the New Rome, right?
Oh, God. And America is, there you go. And America is called the New Rome. Let me make one quick point. I'm glad you said that. There's a movie with John Travolta, not John Travolta, with Nicolas Cage. And it's like a Christmas movie, right? Anyway, the point is he's talking to his wife. I think he was like a lawyer or some high powered lawyer. And his life gets switched around to have a life with like a regular like life with a woman married and kids and stuff, right? So he starts to work himself up in his life, and he's like, John Lennon has the song where he says that that America is wrong, right? And he says that if we live in the olden times, right, we would live in whatever the capital city was of Rome, just like he want to live in Manhattan. You know what I mean? But the point is, America is Rome, right? And another quick example, too, that proves it, right? Or gives credence to it, so to speak. Are you married?
Who, me?
Yes.
No, was married. I'm not married.
So you divorced.
Con.
Perfect. Have you looked at the bottom of your divorce decree?
Like at the actual document?
Yes.
Not really, I'll tell you the truth.
You should go take a look at it. Because at the bottom of your divorce decree, right? My divorce was final in Virginia, right? So I know it says it on mine, but there's a phrase at the bottom of it in Latin. Why is that?
Oh, got you. Well, also their whole entire court system is based off Latin. Like if you represent yourself, it's pro se and all this nonsense. Their whole entire judicial system is in Latin.
Oh, wait. That's
wow,
called
that's a good point, guys.
theater. That's ritualistic theater.
Right. Exactly. And that's why
that's
the God of the justice system, that's why the so-called the symbol that symbolizes the justice system goes back to the Roman God, right? Blindfold holding the scales, right?
That's a good point.
Greek goddess.
Wow. You know what? I've never thought of it like that. I never thought of it, but all their foundational court systems are based off of an ex-Roman system.
The Magna Carta, what the Constitution based off, was written in Latin, right?
So Cap, the reason why I'm bringing up this nuance with the Rome is a lot of times it helps to bridge the gap between what Daniel saw and what John the Revelator saw regarding Babylon the Great. So I wanted to give that in because the whore riding the beast symbolizes how the other nations that she is riding, she's treating them as vassals. And this is the same thing that Rome did when we brought up Germany earlier, for example. The reason Germany became a part of it was by force, just like a lot of the other territories that Rome took. And that's Esau ruling by the sword. So, I want to give way for that. Just give him the parallels because, first of all, you're doing an amazing job at that, but it's very edifying.
Praises. Yeah. So, Lord willing, I laid it out, pretty good, and draw that contrast. I mean, look, the Statue of Liberty, the one of the beacons of American exceptionalism, right? That's nothing but the Roman goddess Hecate.
Mm.
The sneakers that you wear, Nike, that's
Yep.
just another formation of victory, Hecate. The Statue of Liberty is the same thing. We wear these sneakers all the time. It's a Roman goddess.
Our dollar bill has Latin written on it too.
Right. The brother shared that up here.
Yep. But I'll say this, guys. I'll ask one more question because I don't want to, intrude in your build. If I may, I'll ask one more question. And if you guys have any question for me, if not, listen, Ash, it's an honor to the other captain. Y'all keep doing what you're doing. I never had hate towards the movement per se. It was just my arrogance. But I do love the fact that the real people are rising up in this last days. And I do love the fact that y'all are taking people off the streets and giving them something positive. So I just wanted to say that. But my last question, if I can, what do you think the Most High is waiting for? Do you think he's waiting for the 144,000 Israelites before the end comes? Or what do you think roughly is he waiting for the end, for the sky to so-called crack open and his son to return?
Really, he's waiting for the sins of Babylon to reach to the. It's like with the Amorites, the iniquity of the Amorites weren't yet full. So the Israelites had to wait in Egypt until then. Meanwhile, the
Genesis 15 and 12.
144
Right. That's Genesis 15 and 12. When you look at that, that's the same thing that, because Abraham saw everything. He showed, because he loved Abraham, he showed him everything. And he showed him the end in Genesis chapter 15. And before, when he was showing him what was going to befall his direct descendants, so to speak, after the generation of the promise, the Israelites, right? He said that the iniquity of the people who currently occupy the land, right, hadn't fully reached its climax yet. Therefore, not ready to destroy them yet and have his people ushered into their glory for that time period in the land. Same thing with here. John the Revelator saw it. He says that when the sins of Babylon reach up to heaven, that's it. When they reach their climax, and they're getting there. Look at what they're doing. I like to say that they won't be happy until a grown man can be walking down the street in a wedding dress with a little 4-year-old girl in a tuxedo, and you can't say nothing about it.
Facts.
We're damn near there.
Facts. True. Evil is pure evil. It's pure evil. But no,
Right.
guys, listen. I appreciate that. Like, if you guys have anything, but I do appreciate this, guys. I really do.
Hey, one more thing before you go. I want to read this scripture for you, brother. Appreciate you coming through. This is Psalms 51 and 17. The sacrifice of the Most High are a broken spirit and a contrite heart. Oh God, our God, thou will not despise. So, that's what we have to understand. When we wrong, we got to come to the Most High with a broken spirit and a contrite heart. You know what I mean? We're not saying that we're the Most High, but we know that you had to even have that conversation with the Heavenly Father before you even come up here and talk with us. So, from me to you, brother, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? And come through and build. And Lord willing, you can take this information back to your Christian friends, and maybe we can start to bridge that gap and build with them and see that we're not about just a bunch of destruction and all rain, fire, hellfire, and all that. No, we understand the biblical narrative and that everything has to happen decently and in order.
All praises. Well, listen, brother Ash, all praises. Thank you. Peace and blessings to you, to the captain. And I appreciate this, man. You guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of the week, and death to America.
Peace,
All
brother.
right, peace.
Have a
Peace,
good
y'all.
Inshallah. All praises.